The Detroit Pistons are having an epic season for the wrong reason. Right after Christmas, the Pistons set the record for the longest losing streak within one season, losing 27 consecutive games. Yeah, you heard that right. So what really happened? How did a franchise that not that long ago was lifting a championship banner hit rock bottom? Well, that definitely did not happen overnight. The Pistons have been sinking for a while now. The city of Detroit has seen a major downfall in the last decade, and that has made the Pistons a team where no NBA star wants to be. They had plenty of draft picks, but none of them has yet to convert into a franchise player. They had a couple of max deals in recent years, but no player left a significant mark in Motown. Last season, Detroit had the worst record in the league, winning only 17 games, 5 less than any other team in the league. Cade Cunningham, the first overall pick of the 2021 NBA draft, who should have been a leader of the team, played only 12 games due to an injury. Last year's Pistons roster featured 10 players who had no more than one season of NBA experience. The team's top scorer, Bogdan Bogdanovic, who averaged 21.1 points per game, and point guard Corey Joseph were the only two players with 10-plus seasons in the league. Winning only 17 games in a season is terrible, but knowing that the Pistons are in a rebuilding process, it wasn't a big deal. They made a huge move in the offseason, replacing head coach Dwayne Casey with Monty Williams, who signed a 6-year, $78.5 million contract, becoming the highest-paid coach in NBA history. Of course, no one thought that he would make miracles happen from day one, but at the same time, no one could even think that the Pistons would be this bad. Going into the season, Cade Cunningham was back at full speed, and the Pistons drafted Ausar Thompson, 5th overall in the last draft. Jalen Duren and James Wiseman are two of the best young centers in the league. Killian Hayes develops well, and the team has Bogdanovic, Alec Burks, and Monty Morris as veterans. Not bad for a fresh start. At least, it looked like that was the case. The Pistons actually had a good start to the season. After losing the season opener 103-102 to the defending Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat, they won back-to-back games. First, they defeated the Charlotte Hornets of 111-99, and what was more impressive was that they beat the Chicago Bulls 118-102 in a game in which Zach LaVine scored 51 points for the Bulls. It looked like Williams brought the winning spirit to Motown, but unfortunately, that was it for the Pistons. In the following 2 months, they lost 27 consecutive games, and more than half of them were lost by double-digit margins. After beating Chicago, the Pistons had a difficult schedule, playing the Suns, Warriors, Bucks, and Sixers. When the losing streak reached double digits, it looked bad, but it was still far from anyone thinking that it would last so long. After losing 13 straight games, the Pistons were about to host the Washington Wizards, who at the time had a 2-13 record, the same as the Pistons. That seemed like a game the Pistons could win, but in the end, they lost 126-107. The alarm went on at that point. The Pistons' confidence was at rock bottom, and the Pistons were not even close to beating anybody. In mid-December, when the Pistons went on a 3-game road trip with stops in Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Atlanta, they were on a 22-game losing streak. And when they lost all 3 games, the talks about breaking the record started to add even more pressure. Still, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, or at least that's how it looked. The Pistons were scheduled to host the Utah Jazz, a 10-18, and by many bookmakers, the Pistons were even considered favorites going into the game. They came into the last quarter with a lead but failed 119-111 at the end. Tying the record was only 1 game away, with the Brooklyn Nets next on the schedule for back-to-back games. 3 Piston players scored over 20 points in Brooklyn, which was not enough as the Nets won 126-115. Then the Pistons were with their backs against the wall, becoming the team with the longest losing streak in a 77-year NBA history. Was about to become a reality. Cade Cunningham gave his best scoring 41 points, but the Pistons still lost 118-112. Now they stand alone as the team with the longest losing streak, surpassing the 2010-11 Cleveland Cavaliers and the 2013-14 Philadelphia 76ers. Those Cavaliers were still choked by LeBron James's departure going into that season, while the Sixers were in tanking mode while trusting the process. Unlike these teams, the Pistons were hoping that they would be on the rise with a new coach and one of the best young players in the league. There are multiple reasons for their failure, and just looking at the numbers will not show many of them. The Pistons are 22nd in the league in field goal percentage, leaving behind teams like the Golden State Warriors and the New York Knicks. They're 14th in the league in rebounds allowed, meaning that the defense by itself is not such a huge problem. What the Pistons miss is experience and winning mentality, and most of all, confidence. Coach Williams has had much success with young rosters in the past, but has failed to get anything out of these guys. Firing Williams is not an option, just like trading for some veteran power. The Pistons roster will remain the same this season, and somehow they'll need to find a way to win. Having only 2 wins at this point in the season puts them in serious jeopardy of becoming the team with the worst record ever. The 2012 Charlotte Bobcats won only 7 games in a 66-game season, while the 1973 Sixers finished with 9 wins in an 82-game season. The Pistons need 7 wins in the remaining 52 games to avoid becoming the worst team ever, and if they don't change something dramatically, another record is waiting for them at the end of the season.